Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news, and I tell you what, there is so much to get involved in this evening. I didn't do the morning show, and look, there is so many things. Mourinho talking about Ollie, Harry Kane, Romano comments coming in about Sancho, the centre-back, the midfield. A big summer of uncertainty for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer without a doubt. We've also had Liverpool and Chelsea wins, which put the pressure on us a little bit to a certain extent in relation to the race for top four. And I think tomorrow there's a very big chance that we won't win that game. So lots to talk about. I hope we do win tomorrow, by the way, and I wouldn't be surprised if we did win, because whenever I think we might struggle, Solskjaer always seems to turn up. But lots to get into tonight, and I'm going to start off straight away with what the headline is: Solskjaer's Pogba and Van der Beek transfer plan. Now, very good interview, Muppeteers. I was on there a couple of weeks ago, a bit of a podcast they've got going there. They did have... Who did they have on? They had Fabrizio Romano on their podcast, which came out today. Some really interesting comments from Romano. Some of it we pretty much know already, but some interesting things. Starting off with relation to Van der Beek and Paul Pogba. And if I read you what was actually said, I think that's the easiest thing to say. This is a quote from Fabrizio Romano. If both Pogba and Van der Beek leave the club, Manchester United fielder. Pay attention to swap deals for players like Pogba or, for example, Van der Beek, because Manchester United can find some good opportunities. Now, this isn't just a throwaway comment from the Daily Mail or the Daily Star or the Sun or anything like this. This is from Fabrizio Romano, considered to be one of the, if not the transfer don of transfers. And when he's coming out and saying if Pogba and Van der Beek leave, well, hold on a minute, Fabrizio. Since when are Pogba and Van der Beek both leaving? But if they both leave, Manchester United pay attention for swap deals, because there'll be good deals that United can do with Pogba and Van der Beek. And I think it's the first time really, although we've discussed it quite a lot, it's the first time really where there's been that admission that maybe there is a possibility that Van der Beek could leave this summer. Maybe there is a possibility that things don't go the way that we want it to go with Donny Van der Beek. And of course, hey Marks, as Jay Perryman, hey. And of course, with Fabrizio Romano, we had him on a year ago, probably over a year now. Just when lockdown first hit, and he mentioned this swap deal thing, and he's mentioning it again. So it's really interesting there. I mean, I do want to get into the Harry Kane thing. There's a few things I want to talk about as well, but I do think that this is quite revealing about. Look, we know with Paul Pogba and Fabrizio Romano. Basically, Fabrizio Romano, if you want to know what's going on with Paul Pogba, just listen to them when they talk about Pogba. And this is the second time we've heard Romano come out and say the issue with Paul Pogba is the fee to get him out of the club. Man United will want a good fee. Can anybody afford him? And then can anybody afford what Pogba wants? Now, this is really interesting, because I think we are being... And I don't want to labour this point. Would you take Samuel Umtiti at United? Good on the ball, left-footed, will cost about 30 million. I think he's quite injury-prone, from as far as I know, with Umtiti. I think he picks up quite a lot of injuries in that. So yeah. But look, in relation to Paul Pogba, Fabrizio Romano has said this a few times, that he wants around 18 million euro a year, which is about... I think 18 million a year is about what David De Gea's on. I'm pretty sure 18 million a year is around 400k a week. But people are quoting £500,000 a week. The problem with this with Paul Pogba, just very, very quickly, is that he's only got a year left on his contract. And everyone goes, why is Paul Pogba asking for £500,000 a year? It's because he's got 1 year left on his contract, people, And what Romano is saying is that even if Manchester United don't sell Pogba this summer, they can't give him the new contract, because the new contract is so bloody expensive as well. Because it's not as simple as, no, we're not selling you, Paul. Because if you say you're not selling him, he's like, I'll see you later in a year then, because I'm going for nothing. So United are in between a rock and a hard place, really, because they're like, well, we're not going to sell you, but you're not going to sign a new contract. And Pogba's like, no, I'm not going to sign a new contract, because if I don't sign a contract this year, no one's going to pay my transfer fee next year, and I'll make it up in wages to me. So look, if I go this summer to Real Madrid for 50 million, they're going to pay me 300k a week, right? But I want 500k a week. But we want 50 million, say United. Well, I don't really care about your 50 million, because in a year's time, I'll get my 500k a week, because they won't have to pay you 50 million. And I just think we're eking towards something that we don't want to do. The worst possible situation is that Manchester United do not let Paul Pogba go into the last year, which I think is probably the most likely thing. And I think that this is what Romano's been hinting at with him, is that from a business point of view, from Paul Pogba's point of view, he wants the best wages he can get, and Romano wants to get the best wages that he can get for him. And the way to do that is to actually just stay for the final year. And they are the people in control, as we've said before. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with Paul Pogba. But on Donny van der Beek, I think it's very interesting that yet again, we've got this situation where Donny van der Beek is being talked about leaving Manchester United. Will he leave Manchester United? Probably not. But the fact that Romano is saying, well, he could leave Manchester United, maybe watch for swap deals, maybe watch for swap deals with Paul Pogba as well. So very interesting how that's going to work out. I hope that won't be the case, and I hope that we will end up with Donny van der Beek being used to the way that we want to use him. But it's interesting that, Fabrizio Romano actually does say that watch out for swap deals involving Pogba and Donny van der Beek. And then just very, very quickly on Donny van der Beek, thanks for the super chat, XD Mark. Just very, very quickly on the situation with Donny van der Beek. Romano's right. There'll be plenty of clubs out that would like to buy or swap Van der Beek for us, and ultimately we will have no control on this as United fans. This will be down to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And when you look at the amount of time he's used in this season, if Real Madrid come along and say we want Donny van der Beek, do you want Varane? Or if Juventus come along and say we want Donny van der Beek, do you want Dybala? Or or other clubs come along, United might just go yeah. Because I don't think there's enough evidence yet to show that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer rates Donny van der Beek. I think it's, as I said the other day, it's baffling how little he's been used. So watch this space on that. That's what Romano is saying. I can't dwell on things too much at the moment. We will go into the Q&A towards the end of the show, but there's so much to get through. I don't want to spend 10 minutes talking about one topic. I want to talk about Harry Kane very, very quickly. I know it's mentioned this morning by Flex on the show about this article from The Athletic saying that Manchester United are now having an interest in Harry Kane, even though Erling Haaland's the priority. And there is a feeling that Manchester United can't just sit back with Kane and say they've got an interest. They've got to make a play to get him, because if Harry Kane is hinting that he wants to leave Spurs, then clubs are going to have to start approaching Spurs, because you certainly can't go, oh, Harry, do you fancy leaving Spurs? Oh, I think I do. Oh, let's see what happens. This is Harry Kane. He's one of the best strikers in the world. You've got to get to work on a deal like this. But what I would say is that we know that Solskjaer wants a number 9. I personally would say, very, very, very quickly, I personally think that, Marvin AM says, how can we even afford Kane? Alfie Hayes says, I want Kane. And Eid Tactive says, free Donny. But I think this is a load of nonsense. And I can only give my opinion. I've never heard anything from anybody about Manchester United being even close to thinking they can buy Harry Kane. So first of all, I just think it's a paper story. Secondly, I think it's a story that United will quite like because it builds your interest and puts positivity around the club, which is what they want. I've even noticed that Manchester United tweet out news roundups now. Like the official United Twitter account posts out articles of United transfer stories. I know we're not the first club to do this. Man City have been doing it for a while. But Manchester United's official Twitter account does a Manchester United news roundup of all the transfer stories. So that even they are feeding off this. So it's beneficial for them if they're putting articles out about United's transfer stories. They're feeding Harry Kane. It's beneficial. There's a positivity to Manchester United being linked to Harry Kane. But you don't need... come on. Who are we playing tomorrow? Harry Kane. I think that's all this is about. We're playing Spurs tomorrow. Harry Kane, maybe a little bit of sportsmanship, disruptive towards Spurs, but also we're playing them tomorrow. That's a story that will do well. You don't, as I just said a few minutes ago, you don't go and buy Harry Kane in bloody middle of April. You've got to be working on this deal for a long time. He's one of the best strikers in the world. You're having a laugh. You're joking. As Roy Keane would say, you're joking. You're having a laugh. You're having a laugh. You're having a joke. You're having a laugh. You're having a laugh because you don't start dealing with Harry Kane in bloody April. He's one of the world's best strikers. You've got to work on this deal longer than that. I think it's just because we're playing them tomorrow. I think we're playing them tomorrow. Oh, this is a positive story. So no, I don't think we're going to get Harry Kane. I don't think he'll leave Spurs. And if Spurs beat us tomorrow, there's a very high chance that they can still get top 4 themselves. The story is that Harry Kane's losing patience at Spurs, which he may well be. The story is if they don't get Champions League angle for a move. But Erling Haaland has got a release clause next summer. That puts him in a strong position. Kylian Mbappe is out of contract next summer. That puts him in a strong position. Harry Kane hasn't got a release clause and isn't out of contract next summer. So Spurs can say, appreciate you want to go, Harry, but didn't hear that a couple of years ago when you signed a massive new contract. So you know what? Sit down, crack on with your job, because you're not going anywhere unless someone pays 200 million. Speak to me in September. And I think that's, especially with someone like Daniel Levy, that's what's going to happen. So forget about it. Forget about Harry Kane. It won't happen. But it does come back to the point that, we know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants a number 9. I'd love to, on a serious note, let me just read this super chat. Hi, you all rock. Old Trafford is empty. I think that has a very big impact on the way we play. It's a factor that we rarely talk about. Cheers, says Fred the Red. And I just want to say, keep up the great work. Your videos and streams are very entertaining. Thank you, Stefano. Thank you. I've missed you all today. Only not my first United Stand video of the day. Sometimes I do 3, so I've missed you all today. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Please subscribe and smash a like on the video. But just going back to the number 9 situation, we've got loads to get through tonight. But just going back to the number 9 situation, I seriously would love to know what Solskjaer sees. Like, why are we obsessed with the number 9? Don't worry, I'm not going to do it again. In a short sentence, I don't think we need a number 9. We don't create any chances. I was saying this today when I was doing the watch along of Man City versus Leeds. If you know, you know. I said this then. A lot of people on social media today saying, let's sign Harry Kane. Let's sign Harry Kane. It'd be brilliant. The great thing about Harry Kane is, even if we don't create chances for him, he'll create his own chances because he gets loads of assists. And I'm like, nah. Do you actually sit watching our games or do you fall asleep? Because the latter is a fair option, but do you actually watch Manchester United play? How deep do you want Harry Kane to come to create his own chances? He'd have to be stood there next to Dean Henderson. Like, I know Harry Kane gets a lot of assists, but we've got one of the best number 10s in the world at the moment. You know, I saw odds today for Ballon d'Or and Bruno's in the top 5 for Ballon d'Or. We've got one of the best number 10s in the game. At the moment, he looks like a number 0. Nothing's going on. So we're going to buy Harry Kane because he can get assists as well as goals. We don't provide any service to our number 9. Chances, decent ball, we don't do any of that. So why are we obsessed with the number 9? Somebody please tell me why we're obsessed with the number 9. It really does come across to me that we're sitting in the boardroom going, let's buy a striker, let's buy the world's best striker, we'll score more goals and we'll win the league. Message over. Is anybody going to put their hand up and speak some sense? Hello, I know you want to spend all your money on a number 9 thinking we'll win the league with a number 9, but how are we going to get the ball to the number 9? Well, have you seen his assist stats? Harry Kane's got loads of assists, yeah. How are we going to get the ball to Harry Kane to assist, and who's he going to assist? You have to ruin it, don't you? But I'd seriously love to know what the conversation is that's going on in the boardroom and with the manager, that the obsession is the number 9. Look, I might be completely wrong. It's happened before. I said Timo Werner would be top scorer this season. I'm never going to live that down. But I do watch Manchester United every game, as you do, and you watch it with me, and we sit there talking. This is what I love this, actually. I love it when these people who don't like me or like United Stand or social media or anything, and they go on social media that they hate, and they hate people who express an opinion, and they express an opinion and they'll go, oh, Goldbridge and his crew, they clearly don't watch any games. Hello? Tune in tomorrow for the match. You'll see us live for 90 minutes like we have been for the last 5 years. We watch every game. And every game that we watch recently, I watch it and go, a number 9 is going to be wasted. How can I sit here and say Martial, Cavani, Greenwood, they're in the graveyard shift? What? It's got to be the last position I would spend money on at the moment. Why would I spend a load of money on the most underappreciated, waste of space position in the United team? I think Cavani would score 30 goals a season if we gave him the chances. I think Greenwood would as well. So why am I going to go and buy a super striker that I can't even provide service for Cavani? You know, makes no sense to me. But United seem to be obsessed with it, and I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it is that if we did give Harry Kane to Ollie, or we did give Erling Haaland to Ollie, would he then start trying to build a team to create chances for it? Because he'd have to. And if that's the case, why haven't you done it now? Like, it's almost like, let's buy a striker and now let's change the way of play. Why don't we just change the way we're playing now? Because you're going to have, if you buy Erling Haaland or Harry, I suppose in a very short summary, what I wanted to say is, if we buy Harry Kane for 150 million or we buy Erling Haaland for 150 million, we're going to have to change the way we play to get the best out of them. We're going to have to get balls into the box from out wide. We're going to have to get balls into them quickly to give them space to get a shot off. We're not doing any of this at the moment. So why don't we start doing it now before the end of the season? And then when we do it now, you'll see that Greenwood will score a load, Cavani will score a load, and then you might not need to buy a striker anyway. Do you get what I mean? It's like 100% Erling Haaland and Harry Kane would be brilliant for Manchester United. They'd be brilliant signings. But we're going to have to change the way we play, i.e. create chances to get the best out of them. So why not start doing that now? Because then you might not have to spend 150 million because Mason Greenwood might start banging in a hat-trick every week. So why don't we do it? Why don't we just do that? It's really confusing. But look, maybe I'm missing the obvious. I sit and watch the games and I don't see us moving the ball anywhere near quick enough into the box. I fear United heading in the wrong direction with Ollie and this Brexit FC bullshit, says Marky. Kane would turn into the Undertaker with the graveyard shift, says Ken. And we play to protect Maguire and Lindelof, says Gabrielle. And we have no right side, says Safe. I tell you what, look, I'm stating the bleeding obvious here, but I did watch that Leeds game this lunchtime. I'll take Rafinha. I wasn't sure, but I'll take him. Rafinha, I don't care. He's, that's a right winger that is not only putting a shift in, but actually contributing. I think we've got wingers that can play and put a shift in. That lad puts a shift in and does more. I would take that Rafinha every day. He's a good player, and that's what you need. Somebody who's going to make things happen. You've got to make things happen. Manchester United need a winger to make things happen, definitely. Ollie thinks it's the striker's fault that they don't score enough goals. Well, I do worry about that, Adero. I think with most things, I'm quite intrigued by things. I don't just accept the team selection tomorrow. I think, why has he done that? If we win a game, I don't just go, we've won a game. I'll look at, did we deserve it? Why did we play like that? And I do wonder why we're obsessed with buying a number 9. Now, I know Cavani's going to go, so you need to replace him. I get that. But it seems to me that it's more than that. It feels like we think if we buy a top-class striker, we're going to be a super team. And I'm like, you're not. You play a back six to protect your centre-backs. How are you going to get the ball to your striker when you're playing a back six and playing defensive? So, yeah, things have got to change. Pogba for Ronaldo, Van der Beek for Sabitzer, Lingard plus 30 million for Rice, 60 million for Koundé, Bain for Max Aarons. Imagine if we had a competent board, says Humish. Well, I don't think Eric Bailly would go to Norwich, and I'm not sure Van der Beek could go to Leipzig. But there is creativity. We could be getting quite creativity with our. We could get quite creative with our transfers. There's no shadow of a doubt. And Pete Morris says Rafinha for James. Well, look, we know that Leeds like Dan James, and we know that Rafinha is a better winger than Dan James, more suited to Man United's style of play. There might be something we could do with Bielsa and James and Rafinha, but it's whether United want to do the. If Manchester United want to do swap deals, and I've said this before, I'm not convinced that United want to do swap deals because it doesn't get you the money, does it? It doesn't bring the money in, because I could swap Declan Rice and I could get Declan Rice for Henderson and and Lingard. But the Glazers would go, what do we get? And I said, well, I've nothing, because I've just got Declan Rice for Lingard and Henderson. No money, change place. Oh, so we can't have 10% for our dividends? No. Oh, don't do that. Just don't worry with Declan Rice. Just sell Lingard for what you can get and Henderson for what you can get. Give us 10% and we'll be happy. And I feel that that's what Man United are a little bit like under the Glazers. I don't think we'll do many swap deals because that's what a football club does. There's always got to be something for the Glazers in what we do. So I knew somebody'd say it. Fair play to XD Mark, who's one of our members. He's got the badge there. You can become a member by clicking the join button, by the way. He says, how's about swapping Ollie for Bielsa? Look, I'm not looking to kick Ollie out of the club, but I'd love to see Bielsa manage a top 6 club. I'd love to see what he'd do with a Manchester United or a Chelsea or a Spurs or something like that. Because I know he manages Leeds, and I know Leeds are one of our rivals, but I've always liked Bielsa. I just love the way he plays football. I never know when he's going to get beat 4-0 or win the game, but the way he approaches the game is fantastic. And also, he's doing it with players that aren't really that good. And if he can do it with players like that, imagine what he could do with good players. I mean, it might not work. It might be a recipe for disaster. But imagine if it did work. It'd be fantastic. United, it'd be absolutely incredible, Mark. United want striker and centre-back, but surely if Matic and Pogba are going to leave this summer, and maybe Donny, United will be forced into prioritising a CDM and a CM, says Alice Talks Football. Well, Alice Talks Sense. Because Alice, you're right. We are facing a summer of uncertainty. We want a centre-back. We need a CDM. We're prioritising a striker. We're looking at a right winger. If Van der Beek or Pogba goes, we need a midfielder. So there's loads of uncertainty about what we're going to do. And we certainly can't do all of it. I personally think, and look, if I'm right about this, you can all come back and say I was right about this. And some of you might agree with me. I think Paul Pogba's going to stay, and I think Paul Pogba's going to run his contract down because that's the best thing for Pogba and Raiola. If they can't get the money they want this summer, they definitely get it next summer. Now, if you're in a job, any job, right, and you want to leave that job, and that job's paying you £10 an hour, right? You're being paid £10 an hour for the job you're in at the moment, and you want to leave that job, right? And you want to go to a job that you really want to go to, but they will only pay you £15 an hour. So you go to the job you're in and say, they've offered me £15 an hour. And they go, well, we'll give you £15 an hour as well. And you say, well, I want £20 an hour. You're not getting it. And your new job says you're not getting it. But you know there's another job in a year's time where you can get £30 an hour. Are you going to go for the 15 and be tied into that for a few years? Are you going to stay where you are on 10, knowing that in a year's time you can get 30? I think that's what Paul Pogba's going to do. He knows in a year's time, no one's got to pay any transfer fee for him. That's a massive payday for him. It happened with Herrera because PSG didn't have to pay us 25 million for Herrera. They gave him more wages than we could afford to get him. And that's what I think. This is what will happen with Pogba. But I think it's such a bad thing. And I think Solskjaer will come out and the club will come out and say it's great that Pogba's staying for a year. We're still hopefully he'll sign a new contract. Because they can't say he's going to go in the summer. They'll be like, we're still working on a contract with Paul, and then it'll all fall apart in January, and then he'll go. And Raiola will be gobbing off all year. I don't think it's good, but I think this is going to happen. I think Paul Pogba will be at United next season, running his contract down to get the payday. Mark, and you can't blame him. Been watching you from America for a couple of years now. Thank you for always delivering great news and great discussions. It's hard to come by here, says Braden. Thanks very much, Val, for the super chat. And Ari says, if Donny van der Beek leaves, it's an absolute disgrace. He is a top quality player and coaching staff can't coach. I want them out. Our team is going to regress, says Ari Guadalia. Well, I'm going to get into some of your comments. But that's my statement on Paul Pogba. I think he runs his contract down, which is his right. And I think United will dress it up in a dress and they'll put some makeup on it and they'll say, we're working hard to get him on a new contract. And ultimately they know he's going and we know he's going. And Riola's gobbing off all year, which he's out. And you know what? It'd be the one time where I'd say Riola's got every right to gob off. Because he's going to be generating supermarket sweep. He's going to be saying Paul Pogba's available for free in the summer. Who wants a bit? And he'll be on tour. He'll be going everywhere. He'll be going China, America, England, everywhere. He'll be like, Pogba's available. Start your bidding. And Pogba's wages will go from 300k a week at Man United to about $500,000 a week somewhere else because they won't have to pay him a transfer fee. And people say, well, no one will give Paul Pogba £500,000 a week. Paul Pogba is probably worth, at 28 years of age, 70 million, I think, maybe 60, 70 million pounds. In a year's time, he's probably worth 60 million, okay? 60 million pounds just to buy Paul Pogba, and then you've got to pay his wages. 60 million pounds over a 4-year deal is 15 million pounds. That is nearly £350k a week. You can pay him £500,000 a week easy because you've made most of it back from not having to pay a transfer fee. So I think that's what will happen. You're still a sexy beast, says Kenneth Oakland. I think we've got a lot of drunk people out tonight. The next thing I wanted to talk about, Romano spoke about this on the Muppeteers podcast as well. Again, sort of reiterating what he'd said previously. He was asked about centre-backs. Now, a few weeks ago, he said about centre-backs, Manchester United will decide on their centre-back targets over the coming weeks. What he's now said is that Manchester United will do what they normally do. They'll arrange a meeting at the end of the season or mid-May to discuss their centre-back targets. This is unbelievable. Now, Manchester Evening News today have said that Manchester United are targeting centre-backs, of which Torres and Ben White are targets. This makes me want to throw up because it also, if it's true, it almost feeds into the same thing. Why are we sitting down to discuss centre-back targets in the middle of May or at the end of the season? Liverpool have nearly got Konate. Bayern have already got Upamecano. There's another... Alaba's nearly joined Real Madrid. So competent clubs are sorting out deals during the season. United aren't even getting round the table to the end of the season. There won't be anything left. You know what this is? It's like being at an all-you-eat... You know, you ever been to one of... This happened to me. This actually genuinely happened to me once, right? We went to a christening. It was an all-you-can... It was a free-for-all buffet, right? I didn't realise, or the people on my table didn't realise that, you know, when they said the food's ready, we thought there was more food to come out, right? So I said, let's sit down. I'll go to the bar and get us a drink, and then we'll just go and get something to eat. I went to the bar. People had just got up straight away. Went to the bar, brought the drinks. I thought I was really clever, because whilst everyone was going to get the food, no one was at the bar. I ordered my drinks, took them back to the table, said, we're going to go get something to eat now. By the time we got up to go and get something to eat, you know what was left? Crumbs in the bottle of Pringle boxes and crappy cold pizza with fish on that no one wanted. And I nearly said to the family member, I said, is there anything else coming out? No, that's all it is. And that's United and a centre-back. We're sitting down getting ready and everyone else is going up and getting it. And there's nothing else there. Alaba's gone, Upamecano's gone, Konate's gone, Koundé's probably talking to Chelsea. You end up with Ben White. And you end up with Pau Torres. Now, they might end up being good signings, but this, you know, it's scraps. Everyone else has cracked on. What are we doing sitting down in May to discuss our centre-back targets? You should be talking to them. We should have been talking to them since bloody Christmas. We should have been on their Christmas. We should have bought them a present. So it is, look, this is coming from Romano. So again, why would you question it? Of course it might not be true, but why would you question it? But it just feeds into everything. It's the summer of uncertainty, as I said at the start of the video. We don't know who we want, we don't know who we're getting, we don't know who's staying, and we don't know who's going. And it's, how can you plan around that? But what we do know is Solskjaer wants a number 9. Great. I'd rather he went for a number 2, at least to get rid of some of the crap. You know? Why do we want a number 9 when you've got all this stuff going on? You need a centre-back, you need a CDM, you need to sort out Pogba's future. What are you going to do with Van der Beek? What are you going to do with the right wing? What are you going to do with some competition for Wan-Bissaka? Where's the creativity going to come from for the number 9 to score? Don't just go and get a bloody number 9. Bake a cake before putting the icing on it is what I say. It's Saturday night, good moods only, title charge. Well, Charlie Wright makes a good super chat there. Charge, no chance. No chance. That's what you got. You got no chance. We got no chance. I mean, I celebrated the Leeds goal. For a moment, I thought we were in it. That's why I was going Dallas. Da, 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 da. But I thought, you know, actually, when it had calmed down a bit, because I really enjoyed Leeds beating City, and I thought, oh, you know what? We're second place. Who knows? We're still 14 behind. We're 14 points behind them, aren't we? If we win tomorrow, we're 11 points behind them. We're not doing that. You know, we're not doing 11 points on City. But then I actually thought, City have got 74 points. I think, you know, if I was Pep and I was a bit dangerous, I'd go, for a laugh, let's not win any more games. And if they get over 74 points and win the title, it's our own fault. Let's all piss off on holiday. Let's put the reserves out and, you know, we'll see if Man United can do it. I don't think we will get 74 points. Sorry, you need to get 75 points because their goal difference will be better than ours. I don't think if Man City never won a game again, we would get 75 points. So, Sean Burns says, bumped into Stu at Dallas once. He supports United. There you go. But no, I don't think he's done us a favour. I think he's done Leeds a favour. But I don't think we will get 75 points. Oscar says, WrestleMania watch-along, Mark. Yes, I am doing a WrestleMania watch-along. It's on the Paddy Power YouTube channel. But what you need to do if you want to watch that WrestleMania, because I found it out today when I was doing Grand National, is because it's age-restricted, because Paddy Power is obviously a gambling company, their YouTube channels are age-restricted by YouTube. So you can only actually watch their stream if you've set up an account on YouTube. If you're just a casual watcher of YouTube, it won't let you watch it because it's age restricted. So you need to create, like if you're Brandon Stevens, you'll be able to watch it because you've got a YouTube account. You need to create a YouTube account saying you're over 18, and then you can watch the Paddy Power YouTube channel, so you can watch WrestleMania tomorrow night. I'm not doing it tonight. So that's how you watch that. But yeah, going back to what you were saying, Mickey says we've got a game in hand. I know we've got a game in hand, but I don't think we'll get 75 points, even from here. And that would mean Man City losing the next 6. We're not getting into the title charge. For a moment, I thought we did, but for a moment I thought we could, but we're not. We're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Fergus Miggy says you need to show your ID. I didn't. I never have. I just set up a YouTube account and it worked. I can view it on United Stand. I've never shown my ID for that. Bring in a quality CDM, right winger and a centre back, and you will see Martial scoring loads of goals. And Ibrahim says I have an account. I can't watch Grand National. This is not the place for us to talk about this, but maybe if you join on me on my Twitch tomorrow, we can have a chat about it, because this is United Stand. But no, you do. Mark asks for passport or ID. Does it really? It didn't with me. That must be enough. That must be a new thing. That must be a real. I didn't know that. Sorry, I didn't know that. The Devil's Voice says they've got a bouncer on the channel. Yeah, I doubt that. It's because you've got your credit card in your account, maybe. Might be something to do with that, yeah. Maybe Ollie doesn't play Van der Beek because he'd rather play slow-paced, protective football, and he knows he can win that way, and Donny is way too good for that, says Matthew McNern. And what a finish by Benzema, my word, he's phenomenal. Easily the best, if not second best striker in the world, says Yazza Said. And Manimal says it never did that with mine. Maybe it's a location-based thing. I don't know. It sounds a bit weird to me, that. Anyway, also wanted to talk to you about a couple other things. Romano mentioned about Jadon Sancho. Again, just reiterating that if there's a big price drop, United would be interested. They wanted 120 million euros last year. If it comes down to 80 million euros, United will be interested. I wouldn't rule Jadon Sancho coming out to United. I'd still like United to sign Jadon Sancho, by the way, but I will stay consistent. I'd rather get Jadon Sancho than Erling Haaland, because I'd like to have a creator before a striker, but I'd rather get a centre-back and a CDM before Jadon Sancho. So I hope that makes sense. I think I'd like a striker, but I'd prefer Jadon Sancho or a winger first, or a Rafinha. But before that, I'd like a centre-back and a CDM. $5 for the Play Axel Club. Getting sick of this, says Nelson. Yeah, I mean, look, Twan Sebi should play tomorrow, really. So that was that. We've spoken about Torres and Ben White. I mean, Jesus Christ. Ben White. What's happening to this football club, really? If we go and buy Ben White, what the fucking hell are we doing? I mean, I know I'm swearing there, and I'm apologetic about that. But what are we doing with that? What are we doing? Going for somebody like that. Ridiculous. Yeah, and I'd agree with you, Matt Thrower. I'd go CDM, centre-back, right-wing striker. They'd be my priorities in that order, starting off with the CDM. Mark, do you think we've got any chance of getting Antonio Conte as manager, says Tariq? I hope not. I mean, well, look, Conte's not a bad manager, but I personally wouldn't really want him, to be honest with you. Couple of other things I want to talk about. Harry Maguire's been talking ahead of the game, saying he's looking forward to playing against Harry Kane. But he also mentioned in relation to this season, the points tally is a clear show of improvement. If we can beat the points tally to last year, it shows clear improvement. I disagree and agree, because I did say at the start of the season that the points tally would show clear improvement, like Harry Maguire said. But remember, we spoke about this a few weeks ago. One of the biggest, I suppose why I've probably moved away from that a little bit, and I hope I make sense on this. Mark, which Deadwood players would realistically go and stay? Also loan players, says Jay Lings. We'll talk about that in a minute, mate. Remind me to do that. But it isn't just about the points tally, is it? Have we improved from last season just because we're going to get more points? Well, statistically, yes. But are we playing better football than last season? I don't think we are. Have we got a better 11 now than we did at the end of last season? I don't think we have. And more importantly, does the points tally make a massive amount of difference when you look at the points tally attributable to Bruno Fernandes? And what I mean is, if you look at Man United's point accrual since we signed Bruno to now, it's ridiculous from the year before we had him. And of course, this is a season with a full Bruno. Last year was a season with half a Bruno. So is it fair to compare last season's points tally with this season's points tally when this season has had the advantage of Bruno all year and last year had the disadvantage of only having him for half a year? So whilst Harry Maguire's right, and it's even something I said at the start of the season, that points tally is where you can see improvement, and we can see improvement, is it only because we've got Bruno for half a season? And also, are we playing better football than we did a year ago? So there are always caveats, I suppose, to how you interpret it. As I said, I think that look, I say we're going to get top four, and I say we could win the Europa League. We could end up with fifth and nothing. I actually think there's people in our fan base that would like to see that happen, to see if he gets the sack, but it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Thoughts of promoting youth next season like Garner, Ahmed, Levitt, Chong, Mengi and Hannibal? I think you're having a laugh there, Vicky. No chance. I don't think Solskjaer really does promote youth. I've said this, I don't want to get into it tonight, but I don't think he does. I think Mason Greenwood's a generational talent and anybody would use him. I think Brandon Williams was used last year and has been wasted this year. I think Twan Sebi's been wasted this year. Okay, we've seen a little bit of Show Retire, but we haven't seen him again. I don't trust Solskjaer to use these young players. I don't. Until he starts using them, I can't talk about, he's going to use them, because how are you going to get these players on the bench when you've still got Matic and Mata at the club? Like, I don't see a path to the first team still. I think even this season, when we've had injury crises, we've still not really seen them be used. So we have got some fantastic young players through, but I'm not convinced yet that there is a path to the first team. All right, Mason Greenwood's been used, but I think even Mourinho would use Mason Greenwood at Spurs. So Euros are on. Will slow deals down as well, says Megan's dad. Yes, they will. Gray B says 100 million. Sell De Gea 40 million equals 140 million. Sell James 20, 160. Sell Bay 15, 175. Swap Pogba for Varane. Buy Rice 50 million plus Lingard equals 125. Buy Rafinha 40 million plus equals 85. Buy Grealish 70 million. Thoughts? Great, that's how you run a football club. But straight away, every sale you've done there, you've not took 15, 20% off for the Glazers. So, you are talking sense, but I don't see Manchester United doing it like that, if I'm all honest with you. I just want to mention the league table, I don't want to be the prophet of doom here, but just want to mention the league table. Manchester United have got 60 points. We play Spurs tomorrow. If we lose that game, Spurs go up to 52 points, which is what Liverpool have got. Chelsea are on 54, and Leicester would be, or West Ham, depending on the score. Basically, we'd be 6 points ahead of fourth with 7 games to go. It's not in the bag, is it? It's not in the bag and ready. I mean, I think it would be a massive... I think we will get top 4, but I'm just saying, Chelsea and Liverpool are coming quite hard, and Spurs, if they beat us tomorrow, they'll be rejuvenated as well. So we've got Burnley, we've got Leeds, we've got Liverpool, we've got Villa, we've got Leicester, we've got Fulham, we've got Wolves. There looks like there's enough points there for me, but we've got to go and win a few of them games, definitely. Pedro Neto would help challenge Rashford. Every player needs competition to build a healthy, ambitious club. I'll keep dreaming, says Joe Palmer. The question mark, says Jay Ling's fam. Okay, so I think that the problem Manchester United will have this summer, and again, the summer of uncertainty. Who do you sell Andreas Pereira to? Because he's got to go. What are you going to do with Matic and Mata? Because I think both of those have got to go. Who's going to buy Phil Jones? He's got to go. Who's going to buy Delo? So there's 5 players straight away that I'm not convinced we'll be able to get rid of. You've then got the De Gea Henderson thing. That's not going away. You've got Lingard. What are you going to do with him? You've got Cavani, who probably need replacing. Then you've got Pogba. There's so much to do. There's so much to do this summer. And exactly what somebody said a moment ago, you've also got the Euros. The football season doesn't end till the end of May. Then you've got the Euros. Then the season starts again in August. People have got to go on holiday. It's going to be very, very hard for Manchester United to do things. Really hard. So I think we will start next season with a lot of the deadwood that we've still got. And that's the summer of uncertainty, I suppose. Please smash a like on the video if you are watching. That would be appreciated. And make sure you subscribe, bottom right hand corner. DK says, I told you, have to wait until the Liverpool game if we don't win tomorrow. If we win tomorrow, I think top 4 is locked. Then we need to focus on the Europa League, says DK. Well, look, Mourinho, I can't get my words out today. I think I'm a bit tired. I think it's Mourinho and Romano. Romano, we've done. Mourinho has come out and basically responded to what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said a few weeks ago about winning trophies can be egotistical. And Mourinho's come out and said, I think if you speak to the big boss, which is Sir Alex Ferguson, which in itself is a little bit undermining to Ole, speak to the big boss, which is basically the real boss. And I think he would say something different to Solskjaer. Look, Solskjaer got ridiculed at the time for saying about egos and cups, but I actually agree with what he said to a certain extent. I think what Solskjaer was saying is you could win the FA Cup and finish 8th like Arsenal did. It's seen as success, but is it actually progress compared to finishing 3rd in the league and then being in the top 4 again? I mean, Arsenal have won an FA Cup in the last 18 months. Have they progressed more than us? Well, they've got a trophy. Well done. You've had your picture taken, but we're in the Champions League 2 years in a row. So I would say that United are in a better position than Arsenal. But, Mourinho's obviously taken issue with that, and he's like, it's not... I think Mourinho thinks he's talking about him, and maybe he was. Maybe, you know what? I've got to be honest, when Ole said about cups and egos, I actually thought he was talking about Mourinho, so maybe Mourinho's right to think that. But what I'm trying to say is here, I'm not trying to build up Mourinho versus Ole. They'll do that themselves. There's no doubt that Jose Mourinho loves Sir Alex Ferguson and respects Manchester United, even though it didn't end well. But I don't think he respects Solskjaer, and I think he's probably quite envious of what Solskjaer has been allowed to do at United and the time he's been done it. Especially when he sees how... I'm sure Mourinho sits there watching United and goes, hold on a minute, I was hounded out the club by players and fans because of the way I played, and I don't really see that much difference the way he's playing, but because he's an ex-legend, he's getting away with it. So I think tomorrow... I might have read this one completely wrong. I've had people telling me that tomorrow is going to be the boringest game in the world. I'm actually really looking forward to it. I always enjoy the games where we're going to get challenged, and I think we're going to get challenged tomorrow because I think that Harry Kane's a great player. I think Son's a great player. They've beaten us once before. Hopefully we can take that as a bit of an inspiration. But we also played on Thursday night and they've had a week off. They also can look at the table and see that they've still got a chance of top 4, but they've got to beat us. I think they'll be hungry. I think they'll be aggressive. I think they'll be energetic, and that's not what we've been for a few weeks now. And in fairness, we played on Thursday night. So I think we're in for a really tough game tomorrow, and I think if we win it, it could be a bit of a turning point for us. If we lose it, then it just gets a little bit more pressure on us. And actually, as I've said, I'm not going to shirk away from this. I want us to win tomorrow. I really want us to win because I love beating Mourinho, because the way he will act afterwards, it will just not be very nice to take. So I want us to win it for many reasons, and that's one of them. But as I said in the preview on Friday night, I can almost see the tweets already from United players. We go again on Thursday in the Europa League. Disappointed with the result, but we go again. And I just feel it might be a bouncing back day on Monday. Love the content, Mark. Feeling nervous for tomorrow, says Vedant. Look, I might have read the situation completely wrong, but I just think Spurs are going to get at us tomorrow. I think they're going to get at us. They're going to be energetic. I don't think Mourinho will sit back because it doesn't serve a purpose. They need to win. And also, Mourinho's job is sort of on the line. I don't think they'll beat City in the Carabao Cup. And if they don't get top 4, it's been a bit of a shit season. So I think they will go for us tomorrow because you can live off that result. If they beat us again, you can live off that result. So I think it's something that Spurs are going to be really hungry for. And I don't think it's going to be a bad game. I think, look, I don't want to say this. I think they'll beat us 3-1 because I can't see the way we're playing at the moment that we'll be able to respond to their energy levels and hunger. And I hope I'm going to be wrong. And maybe maybe the players are thinking this tonight and they think, you know what, we've got a point to prove, and they go out there and they put a performance in because they're more than capable of it. But as I said, it depends on whatever team he picks. Diego says there's more pressure on Jose. I don't think there is a pressure on you when you know you've got to win. I think in Ole's situation, we don't need to beat Spurs. I think it's always dangerous when a draw's a good result. So I think there's more onus on them. But look, then we might get a red card against them this time, and we take advantage. So I hope we can win it, but I think it's going to be difficult. And I've just got a bad feeling about the game tomorrow. I think I've said it before. I think we're due a beating in the league. We've not been beat since Sheffield United. So I think United have lost less games than anyone this season as well. I'm sure I read that today. We've lost less Premier League games than anybody this season. So we're probably due a beating in the league. But the players can stop that. The players can go out there and deliver. And I do think it depends on what team he picks. I've got a feeling he's going to pick McFred tomorrow, because that's what he does in these sort of games. I think Pogba might start, but he might start him on the wing. And I think we'll see McFred protecting Maguire and Lindelof tomorrow. But look, I hope I'm wrong on that. United take more shots from outside the box than any team, and Bruno more than any player. Do you think that's a reason why we don't create chances for our number 9? Says Duncan. I think I think it's a good theory, but I think it's wrong. I think we take more shots from outside the box than anybody, because we get fed up of going side to side football, and we can't create anything. So people just take a shot in frustration. I don't see us taking shots from the edge of the box when we've got space. I think we take a shot from the edge of the box because there's nothing on. Because we've spent so long to get up there that they're prepared and we just shoot. Mark, but Poch also said trophies are for egos and fans didn't want him for why. So why is Ollie protected by some fans? He did, you're right. Pochettino said exactly the same thing, Jay Ling's fan. He did. Pochettino did say that winning trophies is egotistical. And he got, some people wanted Poch. So, yeah. Mark, Ollie doesn't play the youngsters and new players because they aren't big in the dressing room. He just pleases the big names so he doesn't lose the dressing room. I really had a wrong vision then when you were saying he just basically put together big in the dressing room, pleases them. And, yeah, the mind went somewhere it didn't want to go there. Exactly. Why is it okay for Ollie to say that about trophies, says Vandy Candy? But I'll defend Ollie on this, because I feel that Ollie was actually talking about the fact that you could win a trophy and it might not be as good as not winning a trophy. And I think in the relation to the FA Cup and the Carabao Cup, he's right. We might not win anything this season. We might finish second in the league and get knocked out or lose the Europa League final and have no trophy. Is second in the league better than winning the Carabao Cup? Of course it is. It's better than winning the FA Cup. So it depends what the trophies are. And look, Ollie has sort of contradicted himself this season anyway, because I think he said in January that it was important we win a trophy, and then he came out a few weeks later with, trophies aren't always the measure of you doing well. So, what other number 9 have we got other than Eddie, Mark? Because we need a striker. I believe in Mason Greenwood. I think people are writing Mason Greenwood off because he's not scoring goals, but he's not getting any service. I think if you give him the chances, he will score the goals. And this is where I come round to the cycle of Kane and Haaland again. Why would you try and buy Kane and Haaland when you can't give him the service? You give Mason Greenwood the service, he'll score the goals. Same with Cavani. McFred is like McDonald's ice cream machine. It never works, says Tazio. And I'd rather be third and win the FA Cup, says Travis. Well, you've changed the goalpost there. But I would rather be top 4 than win the FA Cup. I know it's sad, but it's true. Difference in 21 is that we see both centre-backs driving the ball up the field and attacking much more. Of course, not measured here, says Tobias. I don't know what that means. Ollie gets away because of his ex-player status, says Vandy Candy. Do you think this type of football is played because of our centre-backs to prevent quick counter-attacks, says Aditya? I think we're purposely slowing the game down at the moment. Why we're doing that, you can all introduce your own reasons. We're definitely slowing the game down. We are purposely looking after the ball more than we should. When you see Paul Pogba and Bruno Fernandes taking a touch and looking around before passing it sideways, you know it's coming from the training ground, because they're two players that don't want to do that. Pogba and Bruno want to get things going. They want to play forward passes, but they're not. They're not doing it because they're being told not to do it. So why are they being told not to do it? My personal theory is that we're trying to slow the game down. We're trying to kill the game. We're trying to keep the ball so the opposition don't get it. And this feeds into that one moment to Rashford quickly, 1-0, keep a clean sheet. And I think that's what we're doing. We're grinding it to get over the line in the league and in the Europa League. And I think by slowing the game down, you slow the opposition's tempo down. They don't get the ball. But I think we're purposely playing a possession, slow game at the moment. United these days reminds me of a handball match. It's almost like I'm waiting for the ref to put his hand in the air, warning for passive play, says Fred the Red. You'd have to understand handball there. It went a bit over my head, to be honest. A bit like handball. Thoughts on the Neves transfer news, says Sachin. And do you think Ollie would ever learn from his mistakes and bad decisions? Well, he's learning on the job by his own admission. I think he has to learn. I think he can learn. As I said before, I think we could play better football tomorrow. Like that. We could play better football. So I hope he's going to learn. Leo says, when is the WrestleMania watch along? I'm not doing tonight's, I'm doing tomorrow's. It's on the Paddy Power YouTube channel, which people are having a problem with. I don't really understand why. I thought if you just had a YouTube account, you could watch it, but apparently there's a problem. Would you sack Arteta if he won the Europa League but finished 10th? Says Graham Scott. No, because he'd be in the Champions League, wouldn't he? Believe in Martial and Greenwood. There's no need for another striker, especially if Edison stays. Well, there's another one, Josh. There's another summer of uncertainty. What are we going to do with Anthony Martial? What are we going to do with him? Because I don't think he's going to go anywhere, especially if he doesn't play again this season. Who would get in the City team, says J Ling's fam? Fred, McTominay, Victor, Dan James. If not, then why are they first teamers for Man United? I think there's more than that who wouldn't get in the Man City first team. I don't think Harry Maguire would get in the City team at the moment. Wan-Bissaka wouldn't. Luke Shaw would. Would either of our goalkeepers get Edison out? Probably not. Shaw would get in. Bruno would get in. I'd argue that Cavani or Rashford should get in because I don't rate Jesus. Would Pogba get in? So I don't think Rashford would get in ahead of Sterling. I think only Luke Shaw and Bruno definitely get into a Man City side at the moment anyway. And their bench is as strong as their first team. So it's not like you'd say... I think Pogba would get on the bench if he wouldn't get in the first team. Obviously, one of our goalkeepers would be the backup goalkeeper. You'd probably find a place for Mason Greenwood. Would you put Harry Maguire on the bench over Laporte? Not sure. So there's probably only a handful of United players getting in their whole match day squad, to be fair. Rashford would probably get on the bench as well. I prefer Rashford to Sterling, but I think it's not United fans, is it? It's the majority, and I don't think the majority would take Rashford over Sterling. I would, but I don't think Pep would. He's the manager. What do you think? Here's a good question from Dia. I'd like to see what people say in the live comments. What do you think is our biggest problem that makes us play so slow? The manager. I'd love to say something else, but it's the manager. The manager sets the tactics, so the manager makes us play slow. If it's not the manager and you want a specific area on the pitch, it's the centre-backs and the CDM. They dictate the play. The player that really dictates the play is CDM. I think about Michael Carrick in that role. I think about Fabinho for Liverpool. They take the ball off the back four and they run the game. They run the game like a conductor. We haven't got somebody who can do that. So the CDM is the position. The centre-backs have got a lot to do with it as well because they should be giving the ball to the CDM and they mess about with it themselves. But even if they did give it to the CDM quicker, we haven't got one. So you can sort of forgive the centre-backs. Out of the traditional top six, since Mourinho's first year, only us and Spurs haven't won a trophy. Spurs have come closer than us, though. Champions League final, says Salman. No Grand Theft Auto tonight clips. No, it's back tomorrow night. Night off tonight. A couple of people saying, there's nothing about this. Henderson should be in goal tomorrow. David De Gea back again on Thursday. I'm happy with that. Solve the situation in the morning. Manchester United's kickoff is tomorrow at 4:30 UK time, Mohammed. And Ashtar says, if they sack Ollie, which manager realistically would be good enough to manage this club? Any upcoming guys you like? Look, Nagelsmann's the obvious one. The Ajax coach is a good coach as well. But yeah, I would like to go for somebody who is young with a specific identified way of playing that is easy on the eye and progressive. And I think that in Nagelsmann, you've probably got the man there. I think he'll end up at Spurs next, to be honest. Mark, you've said United need to become more ruthless when it comes to the players, but why is it too ruthless to sack a manager who gets second but doesn't utilise the players well or play good ball? Southpaw of Sports. Well, look, we're not ruthless, so how are we going to do that? If Man United suddenly got really ruthless, then maybe that becomes an option, but we're not ruthless anyway, so... one thing feeds the other, doesn't it? One thing I've always said is, people say, would you rather sack a manager or get new owners? I'd rather get new owners because good owners will probably clear house on the coaching staff anyway. You think about when, I might be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I think when Man City got bought, Was Mark Hughes the manager of Man City when they got bought? Or something happened with Mark Hughes as manager as Man City, and they basically sacked him even though they won a game because they wanted another manager. And that's what competent owners do. They buy a club because they want to win, and when they've invested in something that's not winning, they change it. And you've seen this with Chelsea, and we've seen it with Man City, and we've seen it with Real Madrid. The problem with Man United is they didn't buy their... I mean, this is the best example I can give you, right? When Man City aren't winning, they get rid of the manager because they bought that club for the sole reason to win with Man City. When Chelsea aren't winning, they'll sack the manager. And then they'll back the new manager because their sole aim is to win. Manchester United will sack a manager when it's mathematically impossible to get top four. Not because we're playing bad, not because there's no prospect of winning a title, but because you've cost them a guaranteed revenue that they're now going to have to make up elsewhere. So you've failed in the boardroom, so you're sacked. Manchester United were bought by people not bothered about whether we're going to win trophies, but they were bought to make money. So when Abramovich sees a manager not winning the Premier League and he sacks him, he brings in another manager to win the Premier League. When Man City see a manager failing, they sack them because they want another manager to win the Premier League. When Manchester United see a manager finishing second and third, they're like, well, that's the revenue coming in. When they don't finish in the top four, well, you've just cost us money there, you're sacked. It's not, you know what I mean? That's the problem, isn't it, with Manchester United? We don't have owners that actually care about winning trophies. All they care about is revenues coming in. And that's why we fail. So if I could change anything, would always change the owners to people who want to win. And if you had owners who wanted to win, then maybe this manager wouldn't be a manager. Maybe Van Gaal would have gone 6 months before we sacked him. Maybe Mourinho would have gone when he finished second because it was staring us in the face. But we don't get that. Mark, no need to get you angry, but do you realise everything with Ollie is I hope, I pray, but never changes wise by stick? But no, Gene, I agree. I've said this before. If you want the honest answer, do I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer can win Manchester United a Premier League? No. Do I hope he can? Yes. Would I sack him now? No. If we're still doing the same thing at Christmas and we're falling off a little bit, yes. But for right now, for what he's done this season, I think he's doing a good job in relation to the results. I'd like to see a better brand of football, and I hope we're going to see that. But, hope's not what Man United should be living on. We should be living on belief. And I don't believe at the moment. I hope. Our biggest problem is recruitment and stupid contracts. Second biggest problem are the owners. Third biggest are the playing style, in my opinion. I think if you change the owners, all those things change, Fred. If you change something at the top, they can change everything below it. If you change something in the middle, you've still got the problem at the top. You're still getting shit on. Anyway, look, thanks everyone for watching. Please smash the like on the video. Subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. And we will be back in the morning with the news show. And I'm very excited about the game tomorrow. I know some people think they're going to need a duvet and a pillow. I don't. I think it's going to be a really good game. Maybe I'm going to be wrong. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a good game in the way that we might lose. But I think you're going to see there's going to be action in the game. It might not be the action we want, but there will be action. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks. Speak to you very, very soon. Have a good evening. Take care, and I'll speak to you.